And how are we? And welcome to episode 2 of my live budgeting series. Today, we're going to be looking at 10 skills to help you stay on track with your budgeting. So, we're going to start off looking at the top 10 skills that I've come up with, or I believe are the top 10 skills that you need to keep up with your budget. And we're also going to look at what you guys thought when I asked you earlier this week what you thought the most important skills were, or skills to have were, when it came down to budgeting and sticking to your budget. Flip, getting there. Getting there. All right, so I've written them down in my handy dandy budgeting and money management book. Okay, so you might actually want to grab a pen and paper. This will actually be put into a PDF file that is downloadable and printable on Patreon. And if you want the links for those, they will be down below in the description after this live when it's put on as a video. So yeah, those links will be there. And oh, flip. Oh, wow, itchy eye. Okay. All right, so it's a lot of talking in this one, and I wanted to just briefly touch on these, and maybe depending on what your feedback is, maybe over the next few weeks we go over one or two of them in more detail each episode coming up, if that's what you would like. You know, if you would find that would be helpful, then I would be happy to do that. Yeah. So, number 1 is seeing money as a tool. Okay. Now, a lot of us see money as a burden or a problem or a challenge or an issue, and it can cause all kinds of arguments and stress and anxiety and all that kind of thing. But switching the way that you look at it and start looking at it as a tool, money actually helps you do the things that you want and need to do. No matter how much or how little you have, your money can help you achieve your goals. Okay, so if you start looking at money in the way of it being a tool rather than being something to fight or fight for, then it's going to be a lot easier to deal with. People have issues with paying bills and they're like, oh no, not another bill. But without your bills, you wouldn't have the things that you have. You wouldn't have a roof over your head. You wouldn't have electricity. You wouldn't have gas. You wouldn't have wood for your fire. If you've got a wood fire, you wouldn't have food in the cupboard. If you've got food, but we all have food. Let's be fair. Okay, so money is actually a tool to get us what we need or want. Unless we're completely off the grid, it's completely self-sufficient. And why are you watching this video? Okay. I'm just saying. Okay. So, yeah, changing your mindset on how you view money is really, really important. And once you start doing that and start changing the way that you view it, then things are going to be a lot easier to actually budget and to work with. Okay. So number 2 is a really, really important one. It's record your transactions. Really important. Keep your receipts. There's a few reasons for this. On a practical level, okay, you will need to record your transactions to start a budget. You will need to keep recording them to continue budgeting. So for the changes in pace and the changes in prices and all of that sort of stuff, you can actually watch what's going on and learn from that and keep a good eye on what's happening. Hi, Anne. How are you? It's good to see you. Welcome. You can do this by hand or by an app or once a week on a spreadsheet, or you can have a little notebook like this that you keep all your receipts in, which is what we do, because I use that as our way of keeping our receipts in order for tax purposes. Good morning, darling. Okay, but you do whatever works for you at the end of the day, but learn to record your transactions and you'll be well on your way. Okay, because if you record your transactions, you know how much you're spending on what, when, how. When it comes to electric and gas and stuff like that, you'll be able to see where it changes during the year for different seasons. So you can actually budget for that and maybe put in a little bit more at the times when you're not using as much, and so that you can level it off in the times that you would be using more. So say in summer, you put more money budgeted away for gas so that it's not as such a harder hit when it comes down to the winter, keeping the house warm and stuff like that, or keeping the lights on, you know. So that's a really, really good thing to do. It also helps you with keeping an eye on how much money you're spending on things like food and where the prices are going with food, and you'll have a more realistic view on what's occurring if you're recording your transactions, because you can go back 6 months or 12 months or whatever and go, oh, well, actually, that has gone up or that hasn't gone up by this much at this time. But you'll also notice seasonal changes once you've been doing it for a year or two in the prices of certain items, especially fresh fruit and veg, meat, that kind of thing. So, yeah, record your transactions. Keep a really good record of them. Okay, now, next one is number 3 is assess your spending. Recording your transactions won't help you if you never think about it. If you never think about it. If you just record everything and don't think about it, it's not going to help you. But if you learn to categorize your transactions in whatever way is meaningful for you, so you can see how much you're spending in different areas, this can help you decide where to spend more, where to spend less, and what cutting back might look like in your everyday life. Okay, like I said, explained last week, budgeting isn't about cutting back on anything. It's about making sure that you are organized. Okay, and you know exactly where you are and what you're doing. It may be that you look at something once you've been recording your transactions and suddenly go, wow, I didn't realize I was spending that much. And it's amazing where you suddenly realize, oh, actually, I don't really need to be spending that. I could be putting that away for this, or, you know. When I was growing up, it was called robbing Peter to pay Paul, but actually that's more of a, it's not at all. So you're being more realistic. You have a better idea and a more realistic expectation of what you're spending. So number 4 in this is write it out. Okay, throughout the budgeting and recording process, it will help if you actually write things out. This can be done on a computer, although writing it down by hand and seeing it there in your own handwriting does help you to remember. But whatever you do, keep the budget in. Don't, whatever you do, keep your budget in your head. Numbers get fuzzy. Your brain things can happen that can stop you from remembering, and it's just, you have to have it down in some form, whether it's hard in here, like a notebook, on your computer, etc. I would suggest having it in a notebook, to be honest. Nothing wrong with having it on the computer. We have it on the computer as well, but I also have a hard copy in case something happens to the computer. Okay, so you have to have a backup. All right. It's easy for numbers to become fuzzy and for you to forget about your budget entirely if you just have it in your head. Instead, put your budget where you can see it often so that it feels real and you remember your goals. So mine is kept in a little book like this, not this one. This is just the book for the series, and it's kept over here next to me here. Okay, when in my little red book pile. Now, okay, so where were we? Got myself lost now. So yeah, write it out. Keep it in hard copy so you know what's going on. Oh, also, I'm just going to warn you now. There may be a rare sighting of the elusive tanny bird, and it may come flying through that door at any point in the next half an hour to an hour and fly out again very, very quickly. I'm just warning you right now. I'm just saying. We don't want him to fall over because that would be bad. And then I would have to mute the mic. Okay, sorry. Okay. All right. So number 5 of our top 10 skills that are useful, that will help you stick to your budgeting. Plan ahead. When you're making a budget, don't just think about what you need right now or even your monthly expenses. Think too about expenses that only come around every so often. Like if you pay your car insurance every year rather than monthly, things like car registration and you know your yearly check on your cars and stuff like that, and yearly subscriptions to maybe say software. If you're doing what we do, you may have software subscriptions to editing software or say Epidemic Sound for copyright free music and things like that you only pay once a year, or even you might only pay say Amazon Prime once a year rather than monthly. Those kinds of things you need to look ahead for. So that way then you save a little bit every month towards those items so that you can pay them without worry when that bill turns up. My mother used to keep a green book with a clamp on it. I keep a bowl of bills, but I haven't actually written it in a book yet. Very smart of you. Thank you. Yeah, last week we went through an online Excel spreadsheet, which is available through them free. And you can just use it and fill in your monthly expenses, etc., which is a really, really good way of doing it too. But yeah, keeping it in a book is really important, I think, as well, because it's all very well having it on the computer, but if, like me, in the last year, we've had all kinds of computer problems, I wouldn't have been able to keep up with it on that computer. So I had to have it in a book so we knew where we were. It's very sensible to have it that way. Okay. So number 6, include spending money. Okay. If you don't include spending money, you'll feel like your budget is in a cage. Okay. You'll just think, oh my God, I can't do this. It's just like, I don't want to do this. And your brain and you will want to fight it because you're being made to do something that you're not used to doing. And it's hard. Okay. So you don't want to set yourself up with a situation where you want to break out of it. You want to set yourself up so that you want to continue with it. So even if all you can afford is a $5, so $5, £5, whatever, enough to have a cup of coffee when you go out. Or like me, every month I have £20. I could get myself the coffee that I really love, and I can get myself breakfast. And I have it delivered to the house so that while I'm working, I can have it and I feel a little bit special. But that's my little spend and my little treat that I do once a month because we've budgeted it. But if you don't allow yourself that money, you will start to rebel against the whole budgeting thing. Okay? So just remember, you are important, and allowing yourself some money during the month on your budget and making sure that you get that every month on your budget, really, really important. Hey, Bernie. Oh, it's all right, darling. I hope you have a really good day at work. Hey. So yeah, don't forget you. Budget for yourself as well. So number 7 is make a system that works for you. Okay? It's easy to get sucked into a system that doesn't work for you. For instance, you may not be able to keep track of your spending every single day. If that's you, then don't use a budgeting system that requires you to keep an eye on your budgeting every single day. Okay? There are plenty of systems where you can record once a week or so. If the system doesn't work for you, you won't do it, period. And there won't be any value to your budgeting. So keep trying things until you find something that you like, which is why during this series, we're going to go through different ways so that hopefully maybe you will find one that you like. And if you guys have one that you prefer, share it, because it could be really useful for somebody else, you know? Okay, so yeah, so if you get paid monthly, you might want a monthly budget. If you get paid fortnightly, you might want a fortnightly budget. If you get paid weekly, you might want to do it weekly. If you are wanting to keep business and home completely separate, you may want to have one that's a daily one for business and monthly for home. So it just depends on you and what your needs are. Okay? All right, so number 8, live with discipline. Now, this one can be hard. Now, it takes 21 days to create new neurons in your brain for new habits. It takes 28 days to keep them there, and another month to make it never, ever go away. Okay? So, you need to keep this up and you need to practice. It takes practice and learning to say no to yourself. So it's a very huge skill and one that won't happen overnight. If you're not used to doing this, then it's not going to happen overnight. If you are used to doing this, then it's just something that you do as a matter of course throughout your life. Living a disciplined life will go really, really far towards helping you make and keep your budget. Pay attention to your budget, update it, and when you don't have money left for something, stop spending. It can help to break through your desires, to help you. Words is hard. It can help if you breathe through your desires, okay? To remind yourself of your bigger goals and to give yourself a waiting period before you buy things. So if you have a purchase that you want to make, we have a list of things that we would like to purchase. For example, I need a new blender because my blender is cracked. I would like a new food processor because the blender belongs to the processor and it's just not to my standard. We bought the one that we bought to fill in when mine died. And it's already blown. Okay. So, and that's in less than 12 months of use. So I'm not happy with it. Very cross about it, but I'm not going to run out and buy a brand new one yet. Why? Because it's something that costs over £20. And we have a rule between Tanny and myself that any purchases over £20, we have to sit down and think about, talk to each other about. This is the kind of thing that is put on a list that we have. On there is the dehydrator that I want. On there is obviously the food processor and the blender that I want. There's some things on there for Tanny that he wants. And we are slowly going through them. And what we do is we go through the secondhand sites first, because you never know what's going to be there. So things like Facebook Marketplace, Free Cycle, charity shops, secondhand shops, you never know what you're going to find. But you always want to check it first and make sure that it's working, because if it's not, here in the UK, everything has to be pat tested if it's electronic, which means that they have to go through and check the electronics are working properly and that the piece is working properly, and there will be a label on it saying that it's been pat tested. If you are buying from a private seller, just be very careful of that and make sure you see it working before you make a purchase. But we do make quite a few purchases through those sites of bigger ticket items, because why not? Why not? If people are upgrading or whatever, and they're from people that we feel that we could be more trustworthy of, then that's what we're going to do. But we do have a list and we do think about it, and it's something we discuss for a while, decide what's more important before we go for it. And we do have a time that we go, okay, well, let's talk about this next week. We're not going to do it this week. We'll do it next week. And if it's still there next week, we'll get it then. And that's what we do. So yeah, living with discipline is definitely being accountable to yourself or to another person for keeping on top of your budget and keeping yourself in check. So number 9 is know when to splurge. Okay, so this is a tricky one, especially in light of number 8. And I might have already touched on this talking about number 8. So, however, there are times in life when it's right to splurge. This doesn't have to be a huge spending binge. It can be something as small as a coffee with a friend. A lot of times this comes into play when you choose to buy something of a higher quality, even though it costs more. It's up to you to decide when to splurge and make sure that there's room for it in your financial life. So, you know, it's no good going, oh yeah, I don't know. I'm going over bills as you speak. Oh, bless you. Oh, bless you, Anne. I did that this morning. But yeah, so making sure that you've got room for these splurges is important. This is different to having the money for you, unless you've been saving that money for you, which you might have been. And if that's the case, then you can turn around and do what you like with it. I don't care. It's your money. Anywho, but just don't go into the electric money or, you know, look out, Tanny Bird. Hey, what are you doing? The elusive Tanny Bird has arrived. Marvelous. Let's just take a moment, guys. Let's just take a moment. So yeah, splurges. My splurge, I think, would be every couple of months I buy something top notch that makes me feel happy. And it might be a box of exotic mushrooms. I'm not even kidding. That would be my splurge. Would be a box of mushrooms. Really good mushrooms, like fancy mushrooms that, you know.
Hi, bye.
Oh, see you, honey. Have a good rest of your day. Drive safe.
point in that?
You get to come home. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. So, yeah, splurge could be whatever you want, something fancy that's just for you or for the house or for someone that you love, but, is not out of budget and it's not going to put your everyday necessities at risk. So don't spend the rent money on, I don't know, but just don't spend the rent money, okay? Just don't do that. That's just bad idea. Don't do that. Okay, so number 10 is ask yourself the hard questions. When you're budgeting alone or you're the one in charge of the budget, it can be easy to let things slide. Get into the habit of asking yourself hard questions like, why do I always spend so much on entertainment? And am I realistically able to take that holiday this year? You may not like the answers you find, but being honest with yourself will ultimately help you become more aware of who you are and how things work inside you, which will help you to meet your goals, financial and otherwise. So there you go. Hey, Robert, how are you? It's good to see you. Welcome in. So there you go. That's your top 10. So your top 10 skills to help you stick to your budget are: number 1, see money as a tool. Change the way you look at money. It's nothing to be scared of or to fight. It's a tool. It gets you what you want. It's like using a screwdriver to put a screw in the wall. You want to hang that picture, you use a screwdriver with the screws. That's what you use. If you want to buy the things, you use the money. It's the same thing. It's not something to fight or to be anxious over. Okay, so number 2, record your transactions. Okay, recording your transactions will mean that you have a hard copy of what's going on and you can use it in different ways, which will help you keep to your budget. Okay, number 3, assess your spending. With looking at, while you're recording your transactions and stuff like that, you can actually assess what you're using, what you're spending, and keeping an eye on that. Sipping coffee and waking up. Life is good. I love the smell of budget talk in the morning. Hey, it's Friday. A lot of people get paid today. It's a good day to start. Number 4 is write it out. Have a hard copy. It's okay to have it on a computer or your phone or whatever. But if there's no electric and there's no internet, you're screwed. Okay, so have a hard copy of it as well. Write it all down so that you know where it is. And because you've written it, it actually stays up here better. Okay, number 5, plan ahead. Know if you have yearly purchases that are made, whether they're to do with your car or insurance or things like that, so that you can put that little bit aside every month so it's not such a hard hit when it comes to the end of the year. Include spending money. Remember that you are important and that if you do not look after you and have money there for you, you will fight back and go, bugger it, I ain't playing no more. And then it all goes to pot. We don't want that. Number 7, make a system that works for you. Just because my system might work for me doesn't mean that it'll work for you. You need to find a system that works for you. And like I said, over the next few weeks, months, we will look at different systems. If you do find a system that works for you that I haven't mentioned or you would like to share, please do let me know. My email and information will be down in the description below after this goes to video. So just get hold of me any way you can, and I will be more than happy to talk to you about it. Number 8, live with discipline. Be strict with yourself. Learn that it's a process. It's a learning process. You are creating new systems in your own brain for this. Okay. So you need to give yourself time and allow that time and not be hard on yourself when it doesn't always work out every time. As long as you get back on track, it's like anything. You get back on track and you keep on going. You know, you leave your past where it is and you keep on going. Okay. Number 9, know when to splurge. That's not every week, by the way, just saying. But, you know, some people might have a bit of a win on the lottery, or, you know, have a tenner win on the lottery. You might win a couple of £100, or you might win at the bingo or whatever, or on a scratchy card. Do what you like with it, splurge it, spend it, do whatever you like with it. But, you know, it's up to you. Don't spend the money that you've got for bills. Right. Ask yourself the hard questions. That's number 10. So, you know, that's really, really important, is sit down with yourself and have a conversation and say, right, why are we spending so much money here, and why aren't we spending enough here? And then maybe you can balance it out a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to have a little bit of a moment of, if you guys want to ask any questions or anything, that would be really cool before we go on to the next bit. While I have a bit of a drinky, because I'm getting dry. Like I did say right at the beginning, I'll be writing this up into a PDF form so that it's downloadable and printable. And on my Patreon. Now, I keep my Patreon at $1 a month, so everybody can access it. For those in the UK, that is 70p a month for access to Patreon. So yeah, I have to keep something to drink close as well. WD-40 for our mouth. Absolutely. Tell me about it. Yeah, I totally agree with that. WD-40 for the mouth. Yep. See, this is the most I talk all week. I actually don't talk a lot. Except when I do a live, and then I'm like, but I've already done 5 hours this morning on Twitch gaming, because that's my other thing that I do, is I live stream game. And I do that from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. in the morning, my time. But I went till 10 today. So, yeah, I've been talking. Okay. So, a couple of days ago, 5 hours, wow. What do you play? There are 3 main games that I play. I prefer to play what are known as survival crafting games. Okay, so they're kind of post-apocalyptic zombie kind of games. I play 7 Days to Die. I play Miscreated. 7 Days to Die is a zombie game where you have to create a base and you have to set up, and every 7 days you have a zombie horde descends on you. So you have to deal with that. So you have to make yourself safe. It's freaky. And I'm actually playing it for the first time on my own. Normally I play it with Tani. I've never played it on my own before. And all of a sudden I have to do all of the things, and I'm just freaking out all over the place. I also play a game called Ark Survival Evolved, which is actually a space game. You're a clone and you keep being reanimated every time you die into a specific world map, which is known as the Ark. And each map is a different Ark, and you have to create a base and make yourself safe and look after yourself, food, water, all of those things, whilst being chased by dinosaurs. And you have to learn to tame the dinosaurs so that you can use them to help you get through the rest of the map. Yeah, so there's that one. And Miscreated, which is very much like 7 Days to Die, only it's mutant zombies, and you have weather patterns which will kill you. So you get things like rad storms and things like that, and it's kind of freaky. But I had a friend, I started streaming again for the first time on Monday, for the first time in a year, and a friend came in and bought me a game called Timberborn, which is basically like The Sims. It's like The Sims, but it's beavers. So I've been playing that a little bit because it's cute. Oh, that sounds awesome, but zombies and survival, yeah. Danger. You need to play Minecraft. I have tried Minecraft. I'm not going to lie. I have tried it. I've tried it a few times, but I haven't quite yet got my head around it. Ark is awesome. Yeah. Yeah. And part of the reason that Bertha got the stats she got was so that when Ark 2 comes out this year, I'll be able to play it. So yeah. But you know. Okay, so in this half of this live, we're going in this episode, we're going to go through some of the skills that you guys said to me would be important to have as well to keep in touch with your budget. Okay, because I put out a little thing on Instagram and Facebook earlier this week, and I had some responses, which is really kind of nice because I don't normally get responses. All right, so Lisa over at Yogi Hollow Farm, and I'm going to put everybody's links down below in the description. So if you're not following them, which I'm pretty sure you are following most of these, you know, yeah, I'm going to put them back in there. My dear, I'm a Minecraft fan. I am playing now as I sip coffee and wash you. Yes. back to your topic. Or maybe I'll have to talk to you about that later on. Okay. All right. So Lisa said, allocation of income to appropriately utilize it. Example, if you get paid fortnightly or monthly, making sure you don't run out of money before next pay period. Exactly. So that comes down to being disciplined and to working with your budget so that you know what's coming up. You know the money that you have to put aside. If you have your bills are monthly bills, then and you get paid fortnightly, you're going to want to cut your budget in half so that you put half of the money aside with one payment, half of the money aside with another payment, and then you know what you've got left over. So yeah, it is very important to do that. Ashley over at Ashley's Allotment Adventures, who's one of my little mods, bless his little cottons, said determination to make an improvement. Absolutely. Again, that comes down to living with discipline. That's making the decision. That's the very first thing that you have to do beyond anything else is make a decision is, I can't live like this anymore. I have to do something. And that then comes into life with discipline so that you've got, you know, and you keep at it and you just keep at it. Okay, so Steve over at Digwell Greenfingers, he's awesome. Yeah, we get on really well, and he's there's a few different ones that he's put here. One of them is very related to the UK, but I would suggest checking where you are as well, because it sounds to me like something that is a worldwide thing rather than just a country related thing. Okay, so number one, he said an eye for a bargain. We will be getting into shopping and that kind of thing in the next episode. We will be looking at that very, very closely in the next episode. So yeah, having an eye for a bargain. Don't buy it just because you want it right now. Wait, see, look, give it a few and do some research. See where you can get the best bargain or best price for what you want. And don't drop the quality just because you can get a cheaper one for now. Okay, number 2, don't go food shopping on an empty stomach. He's not wrong. Okay, like I said, again, we're going to go into shopping and purchases next week. That's going to be our topic for next week. So we're going to be looking at that in a much closer and in-depth way then. Okay, now number 3, this is really interesting actually. When making a purchase of an item over £100, now I do vaguely recollect something like this happening in Australia as well. So like I said, check. Even if you have the cash in the bank, use a credit card to buy it. The credit provider then takes liability at no cost to you for anything that goes wrong with the purchase under Section 75 of the Credit Act. Then pay the card off before interest kicks in. Could even be the same day. It still applies. It does not apply to all purchases, so check first, e.g. purchases via PayPal. Okay, so it would be sensible to check. We don't use a credit card. We choose not to. We could do. We choose not to. We prefer to buy things in cash ourselves. But for those who do have credit cards, who do use them, this is probably a really sensible way of using them, to be honest. It's a very interesting piece of information that I would want to look further into, actually. But if you guys who are not from the UK, who are from the States or Canada, Australia or South Africa or wherever in Europe, if you know of something like this or you can check it for yourselves, could you please let me know so that I can actually come back to you guys and we can put a more concise thing together for that, because it might actually help quite a few people out. Okay, so Chrissy from Exploring Nature Together says, she's got quite a few. Now, this is a woman that I want to grow up to be, okay, because Chrissy, amazing lady, okay. She's literally, she had enough of living in the flat she was in within about 6 months of living in it. And she went, no, not doing this anymore. I'm buying myself a house. So she did. She just worked her butt off and then bought a house. And it was like, what? Okay, so within 12 months, she's amazing lady. Great lady. Wonderful photography. Again, I will put everybody's links below in the description when this goes through as a video. So number 1, she said, if you have debt, pay it off as soon as you can. Compounding interests are a killer. She's not wrong. In fact, we have a rule for us that is, if we can't afford it, we don't buy it. The only thing that wouldn't apply for is if we were buying a house, but we would be paying it off as soon as possible. Unfortunately, though, in this country, to buy a house, they want you to have bought a car first, at least, or have some kind of loan before you get a mortgage, which is weird. But, get a loan, pay it off, get it done. And then, you keep your credit rating up, so it's not an issue. Okay, number 2, know what your fixed expenses are and when they are due. Yes, because that's part of the budgeting, which we went through last week. Just putting all that stuff together in a budget in the way that works for you. Number 3, shop wisely, look for bargains, discounted prices on the things you need, especially groceries. Yes. Again, this is something we're going to go into next week. We're going to go into a lot of the shopping and buying and purchasing stuff next week. But yes, definitely bargains, definitely. Or I don't know if I want to call them bargains. I want to say that some stores, And some companies charge twice as much for things as other places because they're just lightening their pockets. We were just looking at a coffee machine, actually, because Tanny would like proper coffee. And I wouldn't mind having proper coffee, to be honest. But the coffee machine we want is quite an expensive one. But one place had it. I mean, the general consensus of the price is around £300. But one place, which is a department store, which is a posh department store, has it for £700. Exactly the same machine as everywhere else, but they've bunged $400 on because it's in that particular department store. It does pay to shop. Okay, 4. If you want extras that are beyond your means, work overtime or get a second job. Yes. I'd like to say yes, but I'm also going to have to say no on that one as well. There are people who can't do that, and they're still entitled to have their extras. It's just about learning to manage your money and to budget properly so that you're able to do the things that you want to do as well as the things you need to do. So yeah, but in general, if you do want the extras and you do have a short-term goal that you think that you could earn a bit of extra cash to make sure that you can get it, go ahead, go for it, do it. Number 5, invest wisely in the things you need. Purchase quality that will last a long time. Yes, again, this is something we're going to look at next week. 6, set aside some money for enjoyment, entertainment each month. Yes. This is about you. You are important. If you do not look at yourself and your budget, you will fight your budget and just go, what's the point? You will. If you don't have your own spending money. Okay, so if there's anything that you guys want to bring up or discuss or anything like that, please do. That would be fantastic. I would like to say thank you to Lisa and Ashley and Steve and Chrissy for their comments. That was really, really helpful. They were really, really great comments. And so we have quite a good array of skills and stuff. What are some of the skills that you feel, you guys who are watching, that would be helpful that you use maybe to help you keep on track? Do you think there's anything that I've missed or any others that you can think of? No? This is wonderful information. I can't think of a question yet. We're now living through retirement social security and have to budget strongly. I completely understand. For the last 10 years, I'd been living on disability payments. And for the last 4 years that I've been with Tanny, we've been together, we got partnered disability payments because obviously Tanny was at home with me all day. He is still my full-time carer, but because he's now decided to take the leap and go into work, I don't have that anymore, and we have a little bit more money to play with. But I completely understand where you're coming from. When you have a very small fixed income, you have to budget so carefully, so very carefully, and it's hard. I'm not going to say it's easy because it's not. It's hard. But once you've got into the rhythm of doing it, once you find your rhythm, it's good. I'm canning and preserving like a crazy woman. Gas prices are a big deal at our home. Yeah. Slowing down and calming yourself as you think of what is truly important in life may be one of those skills. Not quite a skill, but a mindset, needs and wants, what matters in life. This is important. Absolutely. 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 Yeah. Gas prices are skyrocketing over here as well. We were told that was going to happen. So, no worries, darling. So yeah, it's been a bit of a hit here as well. Thankfully, though, Tanny works. He doesn't use the car very much. He's a delivery driver, so he uses the work vans and the work diesel, so we don't have to pay for that. And he only works around the corner, but he has the van at night, so he can get to and from work without an issue. So we don't have to worry about that, which is a huge thing. We only really use the car on the weekends. And we did fill it up last weekend. Yeah, last weekend we filled it up. But she was half full anyway, but it still cost us £54, which is around $70, I think. $70, $75, something like that. Yeah. But preserving, etc., food and stuff like that is really, really important too, and growing your own, all of that kind of thing. Very, very important. Ace! Hey, honey, how you doing? How you doing, SDP? Miss Linda's in the house. Okay. But yeah, having a mindset that chooses what's important and what's not is really, really important. But you have to be aware at the same time that you do have to keep an eye on what is important as far as keeping a roof over your head and that kind of thing. It goes back to number one, where you're looking at money as a tool, not as this is my life, Yeah, I think that's quite an important. Love the sunlit light coming through your window. I know, right? It's actually a south-facing window, and that's out the front of our house. That's where my tomatoes are going this year. On that wall there, outside. Yeah, that's where they're going this year. It's out the front, on that wall. Just to make life a bit easier. But the whole idea of doing this series is so that everybody can get something from it. That there's a lot. You're so freaking. I wouldn't be, honey. In summer, it's impossible to sit in here. We cannot sit in here. It's so hot. It's so hot in here. But yeah, trying to share these skills and show people that it's not always hard. Okay, budgeting doesn't have to be hard. It is hard when you first start out, but it gets easier as you go along and you stick to it, and learning the skills that come along the way. That's what we're going to be looking at over the next few weeks. Next week, we're going to be looking at in depth into shopping and purchasing and making purchases, whether they're small purchases, big purchases, everyday purchases, investment purchases. I personally think anything you buy for the home is an investment. That's the way I look at it. So, food is an investment as well. But anything that you look at that's a purchase, unless it's something frivolous, is an investment. But still, a frivolous purchase can be an investment. Tanny bought me a water bottle with "Leave a little sparkle wherever you go" on it, and it shakes glitter. frivolous purchase, completely frivolous, but makes me smile. So therefore, it's an investment in my mental health at the end of the day. Silly but true, and that's just as important as your physical health, if not more so, because without having your mental health looked after and you having something to smile at or to make you laugh or whatever during the day and find that little piece of joy, your physical health suffers as well. Budgeting, oh my God, I couldn't budget till the crap happened in 2020. It's fine. A lot of people can't. Like I said, over here in the UK, as of the 1st of April, it's kind of going to be really, really difficult. The energy prices are going to skyrocket, and that's going to put people who are already in a very, very bad situation into a worse one. And that's kind of why I'm doing this, is to give people those skills so that they can stop the anxiety and thrive, not just survive. There's so many people in this country who are barely surviving. And I think if we looked at giving them better skills, that would partly fix it, but it wouldn't fix all of it. I'm just saying it might make life a little easier, because we had to do that when we were on benefits, and we still have to do it now. So, yeah. We have to have a few little nice things that are nice. At least I do. Yeah, of course you do. Like I said, you are important. If you don't put money aside for yourself every month to do what it is you want to do in your budget, just for you, even if it's enough for a cup of coffee, so that you can just wander off down the street and go and get that cup of coffee once a month, what's the point? What is the point? There have been times past when I ate the most meager and cheap food, but if I had my favorite condiments and seasoning, I felt like a king. Also chocolate. Exactly. Hey, Pure Pondering. Hey, darling. Welcome in, listening while I get moving for the day. Nice. Fantastic. But yeah, it is really, really important to remember that. And especially when things are really tight. I have been in a situation when I was a single parent with my kids, and my kids were smaller, and I was working 18-hour days, but I still had my kids, and I still had to do what I could for my kids. We were seriously on our uppers, and I was working 18 hours a day, 6 days a week. Okay. And there were times when I would only eat at work, and I was a chef. So the only food that I got was when I was working. So I made sure I worked those 6 days a week, because otherwise I wouldn't eat. I had enough money left over to feed my kids after all the bills were paid and debts left by others, because I was paying those off as well. So I understand. I do. I've even been in the situation when I wasn't working. We were still in that situation. I wasn't working before I got my job, that I would only eat what was left on the kids' plate. So if the kids didn't leave anything, I didn't eat. I ate spaghetti for a whole week, every meal except for 2. All I could do was make a huge pot of it that week. Single parent here too. Yeah. They're grown now, but it was a skinny budget back then. Yeah. But now, Blue, I take a whole chicken and I get 7 main meals from it. My son said, Mum, how you do that? Yeah. Exactly. That's the thing. These lives, this series is to give people the tools to be able to do what they need to do. They're the things that I've learned over the years, and I hope that later on that you guys will come and share your experiences as well, so that we can put those in here as well, so that people understand that it's not just them. I think when you're in that situation, you're scared of asking for help, and you're scared of all of that because you just think you're failing and it's your fault. But if no one's taught you, how are you going to learn? So that's why I'm doing this, and I'm doing it as a live at this time of the day because in the UK this is lunchtime, so that anyone who's on a lunch break can pop in. Or if you're at home during the day, it'll be a time where you can sit down and watch. You guys in the States, you're waking up, you can sit down with breakfast. You know, I've done this on purpose at this time of day. And I want to keep continuing doing this. And this will be a permanent live that I do on Friday for at least a year. If there's anything that we haven't covered in a year, I don't know, but we will see how we go. I want to do it for at least a year and see how we go. And we will end up doing other things. We may even invite people on. We might, if you guys want to pop on and talk about your experiences, nothing wrong with that. You know, happy to have you. Right now, I just want to get as much of the information out as I can on a weekly basis. And I'm learning from you guys too. But I want to put that information out there. The other series that I will be doing on my channel will be to do with the gardening. They will be to do with making a chicken last for 7 main meals. Do you know what I mean? Things like that. So that people can make the stuff easy and simply and understand that, you know, it doesn't have to be just this and that. You can adapt it. Plenty of rice on hand, make a pot on the weekend, set up between enough containers to get me through the week. Absolutely. Absolutely. What I do is I have, because so appreciative of your time change for your lives, because I so seriously get busy faced when I miss your lives. Oh, babe. It's all right, honey. You're here now. You're here now. It's all good. And if you have missed the live and you are watching this back, you are as important to me as the guys who are here. So if you do have questions that you want to ask, if you do have ideas, if you've had experiences, please do put them in the comments below. I will be reading them. I will answer you back. It's a joy to read your comments. So, you know, I do appreciate it. But yeah, so I have to go now because I have to write up all of this and put it on a PDF and do all of the things for the rest of this. And we will see you. I will see you guys. I will see you guys here next week from an hour ago, your time, if you're live, 12. It's 6 a.m. Keep listening while I do morning chores and get my little one and me ready to leave in an hour. No worries, darling. Love you too, Miss Linda. Yeah, so it's 12 p.m. midday UK time. So whatever that is for you where you are, the whole daylight saving thing over the next couple of weeks, I can't even. So you guys figure it out. You guys figure it out. And I will talk to you again next week. We're going to be looking at an in-depth view into making purchases, and my top 10 tips for making purchases. Hey, Kiki. Arizona doesn't do daylight savings time. Nor does Queensland, honey, but we do here. It makes it very confusing. But yeah, okay. So I will be here next week, my lovelies, and I will see you then. Okay, I love you guys heaps. Take care of yourself. Be kind to yourselves and each other. Blessings. Mwah.